What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Team Fish Nichols YouTube channel. Now, before we get into Sebastian's interview, this is a deck list that he used to win Florida State, and as he is a Mega Gardevoir Aromatisse deck. And I know we haven't been over Mega Gardevoir before, but Mega Gardevoir has an attack called Brilliant Arrow, which does 30 damage times the amount of Fairy Energy attached to all your Pokemon. And if you didn't know, 9 energies is 270, which one shots almost all the EXs except like a black Kyurem or white Kyurem with the crystal wall. And if you want to do that, you just need 10 energies in play. And the way we can get the energies out is by Xerneas. Now, Xerneas has an attack called Geomancy, which you choose 2 of your bench Pokemon. For each one of those Pokemon, search your deck for Fairy Energy and attaches to that Pokemon. So basically what you do is you attach your energy per turn, use Geomancy, put 2 more energies out, and that way you get 3 out per turn, which is pretty cool. And then he does play one Florges and ask about why do you play the one Florges. And of course he plays the Aromatisse for Fairy Transfer, which lets you move around the Fairy Energies any way you want to. And then like a really spooky kind of cool card I like in this deck a lot is EXP Share, which says when your active Pokemon is knocked out by damage from opponent's attack, now it has to be an attack. So no poison, no burn, no paralyze, no confusion. It has to be from an attack. You may move one basic energy card that was attached to that Pokemon to the Pokemon this card is attached to. So let's say you slap an EXP Share on Aromatisse and Mega Gardevoir gets knocked out from an attack. You can move a Fairy Energy from Mega Gardevoir to Aromatisse, which is pretty strong. And besides that, another cool thing is he plays 4 Fairy Garden to kind of counter to win the war, like the Stadium War, which is pretty crucial nowadays. But hopefully you enjoyed the interview and thanks for watching. What is up, everybody? Welcome back to Team Fish Nichols YouTube channel. Today we're doing another States question and answer video. And what's your name?
Sebastian Inks.
And where are you from?
Florida. Jacksonville, Florida, I guess.
Okay. And how'd you end up doing a Swiss?
I went 6-0-1
Okay.
in 7 rounds of Swiss.
And what were some of the decks that you played against? And
Round 1 played against it was like Dark Deck. It was like a Sharpedo EX. It was actually quite annoying though, because Sharpedo EX with like 2 darks and a colorless does 100, discards energy off the Sharpedo and off me.
Okay.
So like he just kept discarding my Xerneas energy, and he played like Dark Impulse Hydreigon, Dark Trans Hydreigon, Darkrai, Evil Tall. So literally like all the dark Pokemon. But
okay.
he got a good setup like game 1 and just kept, he got like 8 energy into my discard by like turn 9 or whatever. So I had to like trump card like 3 times that game, but I ended up winning and scooped the second game because of bad starts and won the third game. So that was, I don't know, that was a weird deck. And then I played like a Gardevoir Mirror round 2. His was like toolboxy though, with like a Keldeo, Xerneas EX and stuff like that. I just run straight Gardevoir with the one Florges. And and he said he just started playing a couple months ago. So I kind of beat him pretty easily. Then I played against a Toad Garb, which is a pretty rough matchup. But like once I realized it was Toad Garb, I just didn't really use Aromatisse. I just figured I'd just Geomancy to Florges and Gardevoir and stuff like that.
Okay.
It went to game 3, but I did win that one. Round 4, I played against a Virizion Mewtwo deck, and he was just like Emerald Slashing to Mewtwo a whole bunch, and then he would knock out the Gardevoir, and I would just come up and kill the Mewtwo with like 10 energy on it. So it wasn't too. That one wasn't too hard.
Okay.
But because I don't have to have all my energies on one attacker like he does. Then I played against Exeggutor, one of the crew from Jacksonville that we went down to Melbourne. So it's unfortunate that one of us had to play, but we were both 4-0. And Exeggutor it's a good matchup for fairies, but it's like if they get the lock, it's the most annoying thing. Like the full energy discards and no supporters and stuff like that. So game 1, I ran through him pretty easily with Florges. Game 2, he got that lock and I literally couldn't do anything. And I was afraid we were going to go to time and tie, which would have been really bad for the rest of the day. But in the end, I pulled out game 3 with another just Florges Gardevoir, like the basic Gardevoir EX because it hits 100.
Okay.
So I like just went through again like 6-0'd. Around 6, we were supposed to ID. We had agreed on an ID. I circled tied on the match slip, signed and everything, and gave it to him. And he realized we were 5-0. there were only two 4-0-1s. So if we ID, one of us was going to get paired down and probably have to play our seventh round. So he's like, all right, sorry, I don't want to be like that guy, but I think we're going to have to play. And so we played, and like he literally scooped within 5 minutes of both matches. Like, because I honestly, I don't think Empoleon Magnezone has a very good matchup against fairies. Um, I just kind of ran through him really fast. So, I mean, that's unfortunate that like had to go down like that, that we didn't ID. But then round 7, it was a Groudon player, and he was, I think he was 5-1, and we just ID'd, and both made it to top.
Okay, very nice. So now you're at top 8. Are you nervous at all? Are you excited?
Yeah, like, I mean, I started Pokemon in like 2010, played until like 2012-ish, took like a 2-year break, and I literally just came back in like January.
Okay.
So I've had to like learn the meta and like all this stuff and get back to thinking like in a card game mindset and stuff like that. So I haven't topped at anything since I started. So like top 8ing at Florida State's like a super competitive state and everything was pretty mind blowing.
Okay. So what you end up playing against in top 8?
Top 8, I played Jim Roll, Grafton, the creator of Flareon, his dad. So he was playing Flareon. But they played like a 2-2 Raichu line this time, I guess, to attack for Yveltal, which I didn't see very much of at all. Game 1 was a pretty good game. I got decently set up. He got decently set up. But I got a quick Mega Gardevoir that he could only hit like 180 on. And I had 3 cards in hand. Luckily, one of them was a Max Potion. So like I just fairy transferred Max Potioned. And from there, it was basically downhill for him because I like hit a Lysander on another Flareon and then top decked the computer search for a Via Seeker for the Lysander. And then he scooped from there. In game 2, it kind of sucked, but he started Pikachu, and he went first, and he just attached an energy and passed. And I was like, oh, this isn't good. And I started with like, I think it was like Xerneas, Gardevoir, Spritzy, and then I top decked another Xerneas and put it down, attached Geomancy'd, and I had an Aromatisse and Fairy Garden in hand, so like I had game in hand if he didn't get anything. And he didn't. He tried to nuzzle for the Paralyze and flip tails, and I just showed him the Aromatisse and the Fairy Garden. That was a donk, I guess. It kind of sucked, but
it happens sometimes.
Yeah.
Moving on to top 4. What you play against there?
I played David Lopez. He was playing Toadbat's Mewtwo. It's an alright matchup. Like I end up sometimes having not to use Aromatisse at all because I can't keep the Spritzy on the board. But game 1, he kind of actually I kind of drew dead in game 1. I got a decent start and got some knockouts and stuff, but he also played Waters, so he had Grenade Hammer, which is a pretty big threat after like a turn of Quaking Punch plus Laser Bank and stuff like that. So I couldn't draw like any supporters, and eventually I just had to scoop game 1. And that was kind of unfortunate. I was like, oh shoot, I'm going into this 0-1. But game 2, like he literally drew nothing. He started a Toad and just passed, no DCE. And I was getting like, I had a good start. I can't remember what it was, but I was just like Geomancying and everything. And by turn 2, I like knocked out the Toad. He had another Toad, promoted it, and then got like a no laser, but just a 30 damage Quaking Punch. And after that, he just kind of scooped because I had a full setup and everything. Game 3, we went into a little bit of a game, but it ended up to where he wasn't really drawing another supporter. So I just kind of started taking prize. So I ended up taking that one 2-1 as well.
Okay. So now you're in the finals. I know you talked about earlier you haven't really like cut started. Are you like really nervous now? Or are you excited?
Yeah, at this point, because like the group of people that we kind of travel around with is like a group of like 10 people ish from like Ocala and like Jacksonville and stuff. So like I was going crazy. I was like, I can't believe this. I've never even won an event before. I mean, I've been at top 2 at a cities, and that was like 4 years ago. Okay. So it was pretty mind blowing knowing that I was top 2 in like Florida. So it was pretty cool.
And what deck did you play against?
Is Exeggutor.
Oh, okay.
Um, Also, I didn't say it, but my friend from Jacksonville, the one that I played in like round 5, he plays the Swampert Slurpuff engine. So he could like literally diving search for a laser every turn, and just tasting to get the laser and like laser every turn. So
Oh,
that's
okay. I never
super
seen that
annoying.
before. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's super annoying. But the one I played against in top 2 played Empoleon Archies. Um, and it was a 3-game series. I never saw the Empoleon. He never got to Archies it. Uh, it was, let's see, game 1, I got a good start. The biggest thing for fairies, really, like, I have a really good matchup against Exeggutor, like I said earlier, because if I can get just like a whole bunch of Geomancies off, everything only has 100 HP in that deck, although he did play Genesect Plasma Energies for the red signal. And game 1, I just got a bunch of energies on the board, and I had at one point I think I sycamored into like 5 fairy energy, a Xerneas, and like a supporter that I couldn't use. And so he kept flare grunting and hammering and stuff, but I was like just attaching every turn because I just had a handful of energies. And at one point he gets this to me, and I had 3 fairy energies in hand, and he was like, "Wow!" So that's where all the energies are. So um, yeah, I just kind of ran through him, and then eventually like killed a couple executors, and he was just promoting executes as like sacrifices, and he couldn't really do anything. Um, and I sycamored into an escape rope when he promoted Genesect because I couldn't one-shot it, and
Yeah.
so I had the escape rope to get the egg up for my last prize. Um, so I won game 1 pretty handily. Game 2, he got like the total lockdown on me, and I couldn't keep. He had like again like 8 energy in my discard by like turn 4, with like Via Seeker Flare Grunt every turn and hitting all his hammers, and I couldn't do anything. And he had like a Genesect with 2 grass and a plasma on it. I was like, and now I have to worry about Genesect attacking me. Like, so I just scooped that game once I realized there's nothing I can do.
Yeah.
Um, game 3, I got another really good setup, and it was just Florgus just running through him, and then he would like poison Florgus or something. So I would just, I even manually retreated quite a few times in that game. Um, and everything. I don't know why every fairy has like 2 retreat. I just don't see why they do, but like I had to like at least 2 times I had to manually retreat, discarding 2 energies, um, just to make sure I didn't take too much poison damage and it stack up and something die and lose energy. But yeah, I won that game pretty easy, just switching between Gardevoir and Florgus to take Florida State's.
All right, Mil. Congratulations on winning.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. So the very first question is I want to ask is why do you play the one Florges?
Um, because Flareon's gotten really big, and being able to hit like 100 or 120 on turn 2, like after 1 Geomancy, and if I get the Aromatisse and everything, like I can get a quick. It's just, I don't know. It's more of aggressive play than rather sitting back and filling my board with energies. And it really helps in the Primal Groudon matchup too. That's probably the hardest matchup for Mega Gardevoir, in my opinion. Um, so if Landorus has 120 HP, as long as they don't play Focus Sash or something like that, like I can take out the Landorus, and then they have to either promote the Groudon or the other Landorus if they have one or whatever. So it really messes up their setup.
Now, you do only play one Pokemon fan club. Was that really clutch, or was it mostly like a dev card?
Actually, yeah, it's really clutch. I got it early game a lot, actually. So I was able to get, I mean, depending on the matchup, like a Florges and a Gardevoir, or a Gardevoir, Spritzee Gardevoir, another Xerneas or something like that. So it's actually, I used to play 2, but I found that I never really needed the second one. So, and I guess technically I might not ever need the first one, but it's like super convenient if I start with it early game.
True. Okay. Now, you do play one EXP share. Why did you decide to do that?
The EXP share is something I thought of like as soon as Primal Clash came out, and I built Mega Gardevoir. And it's like a really sloppy list, but I was like, oh, experience share is really good in this deck. Um, and I ended up, it's in combination with the double colorless energy that I run too. It's Mega Gardevoir's attack costs 1 fairy and 1 DCE basically. So if I ever have the chance to, I can throw in an experience share on Aromatisse or something like that. And if the Gardevoir dies, if it has three fairies on it, technically I'm only losing two because I get to keep one and bring it down to the Aromatisse. It really just keeps consistent damage on the board so that I don't ever fall behind in energy on the field.
Okay. Now, would you ever bump it up to like 2 or 3 EXP shares?
Sorry, you broke up a little bit.
Would you ever bump it up to like 2 or 3 EXP shares?
People have asked me that, and I mean, I've thought about it, but at this point, um, I haven't needed it too much. It's been really a convenience. There's a couple times where it's been really clutch, so I've definitely considered it, but I don't think at this point, I think the list I have is probably the one of the best lists that I can get to, like consistent wise and what it does. So I think one XP share is just pretty clutch because I don't need it, but it helps a lot.
Okay. So, how many championship points did that put you at?
130. Like I said, I started in like January,
Uh-huh.
so just 2 weeks ago we went to Georgia State's. I got 12th, and got 30 points from that, and then just won Florida State, so I got 100 from that.
Okay. Now, why did you decide to play Mega Gardevoir overall?
I've been playing it for basically shortly after Primal Clash came out. I've been playing it and refining the list, so I have a lot of experience with it against the entire meta. I think it's a good play against the entire meta because uh, the only bad matchup I have, like I said, is Groudon, and that's probably like 40-60 in the Groudon's favor. Otherwise, everything else is a good matchup for Gardevoir. It doesn't have very many bad matchups, other than Steel, but like no one plays Steel.
Okay.
I used to play a Charizard, but I took it out when I kind of just said no one plays Steel anymore.
Now, are you gonna go to any regionals coming up?
Yeah, we definitely plan on going to Georgia regionals. There's been a little bit of talk about going to like Kansas regionals just because I won Florida regionals, so like I'm actually getting points. So there's been a little bit of talk about that. That's definitely a far stretch from Florida, but Georgia for sure will be there.
Okay. Now, I know Kansas is like a month away, but if you do go, do you think you'll still be sticking with Gardevoir?
That's a definite maybe. With the addition of Roaring Skies, a lot of things are going to change. So we don't know what's going to happen as of right now. I definitely have a couple ideas. Um, I do want to stick with fairies because of how flexible they are and how many things you can do with fairies. Max Potion is just too good. Um, and yeah, it. I don't know if Gardevoir is going to be like one turn too slow for the meta, but I do have Mega Turbo now, or will have Mega Turbo, so we'll see how that fits in if I can tweak the list a little bit. But I definitely hope it sticks around and I can play this deck. If not, um, I'll figure something out.
Alrighty. Well, do you want to give a shout out to anybody?
Yeah, the whole team here in Jacksonville or whatever. We got Jason, Parker, Ian, James, Sam, the core group of guys we travel around with is cool. Then I guess Gio, Ryan, Devin, V, and Nate. They're all from like the Ocala, Orlando area. So that's like our entire group that we travel around in. So shout out to them.
Alrighty, man. Well, once again, congratulations on winning it. Thanks for doing this.
Yeah, thanks so much, man.
Alrighty, take care.
All right, you too.